Anantha, you can start the introductions, please.
Good evening, and a very warm welcome to one and all present here. Welcome to In Conversation, hosted by the School of Public Speaking. In Conversation is a series of discussions conducted by Manoj Talakar, the founder of the School of Public Speaking, with eminent professionals, entrepreneurs, educators, and other successful personalities from society. We are privileged to have Mr. Balaji Pasumarthy and Mr. Anantharam Varayur as our guests for today. Mr. Balaji Pasumarthy's passion is to liberate entrepreneurs and businesses from constraints so that they can be in their flow. With a BTech from IIT Madras and an MBA from IIM Bangalore, he started his entrepreneurial journey very early on in his career. Balaji is the executive director of BNI Bangalore, where several of the 2,650 plus members get 100% of their business through referrals. He, along with his partners, started BNI Bangalore in 2007. Balaji started Golden Square with the objective of removing all the hassles that small teams face in having an office. Golden Square offices provide private co-working in 6 locations across Bangalore and has served 3,000 plus organizations. Golden Square's philosophy is joy at work, and its oldest member has been experiencing this for the last 24 years. He is the founder of Liberated Enterprise Creators, where he and other mentors help entrepreneurs and their team be liberated at work. More than 200 plus entrepreneurs have already benefited in transforming their companies through this program. Balaji is also associated with Venture Catalysts, an integrated incubator with a network of angels who invest in curated startups. Venture Catalyst is democratizing angel investing. A warm welcome to Mr. Balaji. Mr. Anantharam Varayur is a first-generation entrepreneur who started his business in 1989 at the age of 23 years. He's the co-founder of Webcom Information Technology Private Limited and Manasum LLP, creating luxury retirement homes for senior citizens. Webcom was awarded in the Premier 100 Companies in India for 3 consecutive years by Channel World magazine of IDG Group. They were in the top 100 lists for both CRN and DQ Channel. While his business is computer networking, his passion is human networking. Anantharam is the executive director of BNI Bangalore along with Balaji. For the year 2014 to 15, he was in the founder's circle of Dr. Ivan Misno, founder of BNI. He's also on the BNI Standardization Committee worldwide. Currently, he has an additional role in BNI as Best Practices Team for BNI Online. He's the ex-vice president of AIT Bengaluru. He was on the executive committee of the Federation of IT Dealers Associations in Karnataka. He's also a marathon runner. He fulfilled his dream of running a marathon from Marathon to Athens. He has also done several half marathons. He's married to Sumati, who is also his business partner. They have a dream to start a retirement home project for senior citizens attached with an orphanage so that the children and senior citizens have one another's company as grandparents and grandchildren. Welcome, Mr. Anantharam.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening to all.
Manoj Talakar is the CEO of Flexi Partners, a 14-year-old HR consulting firm focused on leadership hiring with operations in India, Dubai, Qatar, and Oman. He is the founder of Reflex Training Partners, an experiential learning organization that uses theatre as a methodology of training. Manoj is a director of Bengaluru School's education initiatives and runs one of the largest online platforms on schooling and parenting, called Bangalore Schools, with a member strength of more than 52,000 parents. Manoj has been a part of BNI, the world's largest referral organization, as the past president of BNI Billionaires and as a part of the regional training team of BNI Bangalore. He's a passionate speaker and has been a public speaking coach for the last 20 years. This led to him founding the School of Public Speaking. He pioneered the online public speaking workshops during the lockdown, and through these, he has helped close to 500 children and adults overcome their fear of public speaking. Over to you, Manoj.
Thank you so much, Anantita. Thank you for that. Thank you, Ananth and Balaji, for accepting this invite and being part of this. This is one day that I've been looking for quite some time, and I'm really excited to see this panel here. And a very warm welcome to all BNI members and guests who are here today, friends, family, who are joining us today, who will be watching us from the Facebook as well. So a very warm welcome to everyone. So let me start with The first question which I wanted to ask, and that's about your journey. You both have been extremely successful entrepreneurs, extremely energetic entrepreneurs, motivating, inspiring. A lot of adjectives can be used. Let me start with you, Balaji. What was that start of the journey? How was the start of the journey? Why entrepreneurship?
So why entrepreneurship? I think, most entrepreneurs start the journey because they feel discomfort in wherever they are. There's some amount of discomfort and you want to do something to get out of that discomfort. I think that was what was the start of my journey. So after my IIM, I was placed in one of the best companies that MBA could join, which is the Unilever Group. But somehow I was feeling not into it, right? I was not really enjoying what was happening there. And for me, work needs to be a pleasure. It has to be something that you really enjoy. And I thought, if I'm feeling like this in a fantastic company like Unilever Group, corporate world is not for me. So let me start my own business, right? So that was my discomfort. So my journey really has been about, can we create a work environment where people really enjoy what they do, they're really engaged, they're very productive, and they love to work. And my 25 years is really kind of a experiment and discovery and growth in terms of figuring out how that can be done. And my oldest business is Golden Square offices, 25 years old now. And now I get to practice this, what I've learned and what I'm learning in BNI as well. And I also teach these things in a workshop that I conduct called Liberated Enterprise Creators. So Manoj, in a very crisp, short way, that's been my 25-year journey as an entrepreneur.
Wonderful, wonderful, Balaji. A lot to learn from you to how to keep it crisp that way. So the takeaway is from discomfort to enjoyment. I think that's a simple journey as it is. Ananth, for you, what was the journey like, and why entrepreneurship for you?
Yeah, for me, probably like most entrepreneurs, I'm an accidental entrepreneur. Okay, I think that's the term which I can use. I think it's looks like that's true with many people like us, I think. So what happened, I was working for one IT hardware company, and they had a branch in Bangalore and Chennai and all these places. It's a Mumbai-based company, actually. So at one point of time, they decided that they want to wind up the Bangalore and Chennai operations. So at that time, I was only around 23 years at that time. And so naturally for anybody, it is, okay, what next? How do I look for a next job, right? But for me, what had happened is by then we had picked up quite a lot of orders especially for the AMC, annual maintenance contract, from various organizations with our face value, actually. In fact, before that, I was working for Indian Institute of Science, and then I was with HCL for a couple of years and all. So there were a lot of things came to us, based on our commitment and things like that. Somehow I felt that it's not a right part for me to just leave that as it is and go away. So that's the time, like myself and my one more other partner, and Sumathi, she was in Chennai. This is before marriage, actually. So Sumathi was in Chennai, and then I was in Bangalore. And so all three of us, we decided how about approaching the same company and asking them that we will take over the company here. In fact, at that time, Sumati was quite younger to me as well. She was at least 4 years younger. And then for me, there were a lot of seniors were there in the company as well. The people who have much bigger in experience, and everything were there. So we approached them. We told them, if we take over this, will you guys continue working with us and all? I don't know. Lucky, many of them said yes. Okay. Then we went ahead and then gave an offer to the Mumbai company saying that we are going to take over this. They said they gave it up. The only condition what they have put is all those AMC contract, you have to take it on your head, okay, without any compensation. So we agreed for that also. And then that's how it fell on our lap, literally. Okay.
Wonderful. Great stories. I mean, we've all heard about a lot about Ananth and Balaji, and members, friends who are in the room would connect to that, because we've heard a lot, and these are things that we probably never heard before. So these are things that are adding to that inspiration of looking up to you and saying, "Wow, we need to be closer to you." Uh, how did BNI happen? Because that's a real game changer for thousands of people, including me. So how did BNI happen?
So let me start first, and Ananth can add to the story. In fact, me, Ananth, Mac, Varma, all of us were part of another network called Excel in Bangalore. And we did not know each other. Even in the network, we didn't know each other. The person who started Excel in Bangalore, his name was Yap. And so he started the same network in Mumbai, and the national director of BNI, Neeraj Shah, joined the network there. And there he said, we are looking for somebody to start BNI in Bangalore. Then Yap actually worked with all of, we kept pestering us, me, Ananth, Mac, Varma. He kept saying, guys, you need to start BNI in Bangalore because it's damn good. And around the same time, my sales team in my business were constantly pestering me. We need more leads. You're telling us to close more deals, but we need more leads. So that problem was there in my mind. And Yap was pestering us for 6 months. And finally, I went to Mumbai. And I was floored when I went to the BNI chapter meeting, because people were standing up and saying, I've got business for you, I've got referrals for you, and they were so happy about giving referrals to other people. I said, this solves my problem for my sales team. And I immediately said, okay, fine, we're going to do this in Bangalore. And it was only after that I met Ananth and Mac and Varma. It's been an amazing journey since. And of course, 14 years of BNI in Bangalore has been so satisfying in terms of helping so many entrepreneurs, so many business leaders stop cold calling, right? They don't need to cold call anymore. So the pain of cold calling is totally removed. And it's such a pleasure to get connected to clients and get referred to clients in such a positive way. It's really transformative personally as well. We have learned so much from BNI, and really, really grateful for this journey. Ananth, I'm sure you need to want to add something.
Yeah, it's exactly the same story. The only thing is I just wanted to add is when Yap first talked to us, I said, okay, I want to join BNI. Okay, then Yap said there is no BNI here, and then you have to start. So that is how that came. And there also one more small twist is there. Initially, when myself and Sumati, we were discussing that who should be a part, because both of us were managing the webcom. We had so many branches at that time, and across the country we had quite a lot of branches and all those kind of things. So then we took a decision internally, okay, then I will focus on BNI, and then Sumati will continue focusing on webcom. So yeah, that's how we took a decision.
Right. So when you look back at it, Ananth, 14 years of BNI in Bangalore, thousands of people being benefited. What is that one thing that makes you proud of what you've done? What is it, that one thing that you really look back and say, wow? Or maybe you pat yourself on the back and say, wow, Ananth, you did well. What is that one thing about BNI?
Yeah, main thing is definitely the kind of gratitude. Okay, I think that's one thing. First and foremost thing, within my own story, I will be ever grateful to Yap, right? In the sense, whenever I think of this story, always in our mind, so Yap is like a god. Okay, so that's the kind of gratitude is there for Yap for introducing us here. So likewise, when many people, when they come to us and tell that that this is what has happened, and like if I can give you a very, very quick story, one day almost at midnight, 12 o'clock, I get a call from somebody saying that, sir, you are going to be blessed for next 10 janmas, okay, for 10 next life, you have earned the gratitude, he said, the night. Then I thought, what happened to this guy at night? He is calling, telling me this. Then he said, see, I received today one big payment. He is a realtor, one commission check, which is one of the highest ever. around 22 lakhs, something like that. A very big amount he has received. He said, this is one of the biggest amount I received in my lifetime as a realtor. So, so he told that, and then he has reduced his weight, the mental weight and on me, and then left, and probably he would have gone for a sleep. Okay. But whereas myself and Sumati, we could not sleep rest of the night. Okay. We were discussing that how many people would have been thinking about us like this and things like that. So that one thing, like if somebody says that, okay, because of this, I am like this. Okay. That gratitude is the one which keeps us doing what we are doing now.
Thank you. Let me just move on to the next part of it, which is the question that we discussed, and that's a topic for us today, dreaming big. I want to start with you, Balaji, because I know when BNI started, it was never expected to be this big, or maybe you did not think that this is the level of where we will reach at some point of time. So how important is dreaming big when you start off anything?
So Manoj, I'll confess that I'm not a very big entrepreneur. Very honestly, there are much bigger entrepreneurs than me. But however, I've met a lot of entrepreneurs, and I used to run a magazine. I used to own a magazine. So in that context, I've interviewed at least 90 very successful, highly successful entrepreneurs in depth, because this magazine, in the early days of my career, I was very curious to know what makes entrepreneurs tick. So I've done that, read a lot of biographies and so on. And I've come to the conclusion that 99.9% of these very successful entrepreneurs never really thought that they'll become big, right? So, so this thing about dreaming big, I'm not quite sure, but I'll tell you what I figured out, what is common among all of these people. They are very passionate about what they do, okay? And so it's not that they have a vision of having so many crores of business or worldwide empire and so on. I don't think that is the aspect of dreaming big that they think, but they are very, very passionate about whatever they're doing, and they are there for the long haul. They have the grit to kind of sustain that business for a very, very long time. And I totally recommend a particular book that I read, which talks about the success and what are the factors behind success. It is Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. So if you pick up that book, a lovely book. So he starts off with a particular question. He says, what is common between Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Vinod Khosla, and Eric Schmidt, and so on. He lists down all of these names, very highly successful entrepreneurs. He says, what is common between them apart from them being successful? And he points out that all of them were born around 1955, 1 or 2 years difference.
Oh,
right? So he says, if they were born 5-10 years either earlier or later, they would have missed the bus. So what is the bus they would have missed? And there's another thing interesting about all these people. All of them were exposed to computers when computers was very rare, right? And all of them spent 10,000 hours, even before they thought of a business or something like that. They spent 10,000 hours working on computers. So when the PC industry kind of opened up, they were the few people who were in the right place at the right time. So when we're talking about phenomenal success, you'll see, in fact, I was thinking today about other industries like India, the software, the IT services industry, Infosys, Wipro, and so on. Okay, all of them is around the same time they came up, right? Okay, you look at the real estate, all the big builders that we see around, Brigade, Prestige, and so on. You look back, 1995, all of them were, were there. Yeah. They were ready to take on the boom which was going to happen in the real estate industry and the software services industry in Bangalore. So when you talk about phenomenal success, I think it's this preparation which is meeting opportunity, right? And that's not always in your hand. What is in your hand is that you're very passionate about whatever you're doing. You become an expert at it and you stick at it, right? You stick at it. And I think that seems to be the common formula for all these phenomenal successes. However, it doesn't mean that they didn't have talent. All of them had talent. All of them had grit. Okay. And if the timing was not right, still they would have been fairly successful. They would have been fairly successful because they're brilliant, they're talented, they are hardworking. But when you say hardworking and so on, isn't the guy who's, farming the land or, doing the construction work in the building, isn't he working hard also? He's also working hard, isn't it? So I don't think hard work and all of talent, all those things are really the factor for phenomenal success. It's something else, and that is preparation meeting opportunity.
Preparation meeting opportunity. Wonderful. That's a great takeaway, Balaji. Thank you so much for that. Ananth, the same question in terms, because I know when I've spoken to you during the expo time, and then we had that amazing event that you were part of, and you judged that event, and we were discussing right after that also, and we were sharing that dream in terms of what you have, the ultimate dream that you're carrying of an old age home with an orphanage, all of that stuff. So to me, that is big. That's not a small dream to have. That's a big dream. It is not always about money. It is not always about success or anything. I mean, there are big dreams like that also. So what is your take on that, Ananth?
Yeah, I fully agree with Balaji, whatever he said, especially the timing sometimes matters a lot. In fact, both myself and Balaji, we keep saying that even in BNI itself, right? Probably at that time, if someone else had met Yap, and then so if the similar thing would have offered, and then who knows, they would have become the executive directors of BNI Bangalore, or any one of you people who had an opportunity at that time, you would have become the ED. So it's basically, one is getting the opportunity and getting into that at a right time. And it has happened to me several times. I mean, not once or twice, almost every time. In fact, even in the, like, as I told you about my own webcom story, right? Even there also, what we did is we got into the networking, actually. We got into the networking at a very early stages, like when everybody was selling computers and then making a little bit money on the boxes. So what we thought is, we need to have something different. Okay, we have to add some value to whatever we are doing. And then we got into the networking. And we became the pioneers in the networking. Then we had an opportunity to network almost every other big organization in this country. Almost every national thermal power plants, NTPC, Unchahar, Kehelgam, Vindhyachal, Rihand, Ramagundam, you name the power plant, more than 37 power plants we have networked. Or in Bangalore, you take all DRDO organizations, LRD, ADE, GTRE, CABS, CARE, ISRO, ISTRAC, HAL, BL. So you name the organization, we got in. So all these organizations we could get very early, because at that time we spotted the opportunity and we said that, yes, this is going to be the future. Okay, that's exactly same thing happened in my retirement home as well. Okay, so there also what has happened once, I mean, myself and Sumati, we had been thinking about getting into the retirement home, the services, right from more than about 8 to 10 years. We used to think a lot, because a lot of my friends and they all went abroad, and their children, I mean, their parents were in India. So we used to think, oh, what is going to happen to them? Who is going to take care of them, and things like that. So then we were thinking about this almost around 7-8 years back. But the magic happened in BNI. Okay, when I went and talked to Mr. Mangalchand Jain, who was already running a retirement home. So then we started discussing, and so the one question, when he said, how can I help you? You know the golden word in BNI, right? How can I help you? So when he said, how can I help you? I think that was the right timing for me. I said, sir, why help? You become my partner, sir. Okay, that's it. Okay, so that one sentence made us become the partners in this organization. And in my lifetime, I thought, okay, if I have one retirement home, I'm happy. Okay, but the thing is, after getting into this, now I feel that we should have minimum 2,500 units. Okay, we should support nearly 2,500 people. Okay, so now we have made our dream much bigger. Okay, there's a saying, right? If there is any small problem, so you acquire a bigger problem and this gets vanished. Okay, so that way, instead of having one, if I have some 100, I mean, nearly 2,500 people, if I am able to take care of them, so we would like to get into the bigger one. So now again, with the partnership with some of the BNI members, I got into the electric scooter. So that again, I feel that it is quite early. We are got in there, and then it's a timing. Okay. So like that, I think as Balaji said, one is the timing plus once something is happening, there is nothing wrong in dreaming very big, and then make it happen. That's it.
Okay. So the idea which I am getting, Balaji, Ananth, is that there is an opportunity which is always there. If you are not the first one to grab it, somebody else is going to definitely grab it. It is not that we have all done all the businesses. We always look up to somebody and say, how in the world did he even think about it? Or there are other opportunities where I've said, okay, I thought about it, but that guy already did it. How did he even manage to do it? So that's one part of it. The second part, which keeps coming from Ananth multiple times, is this part, Ananth, is in terms of the work-life balance, right? So that's something that we keep always talking about. Every quote about entrepreneurship talks about hardship, putting night hours, putting long hours for something that you might enjoy later on. So I know both of you have your family as your partners in this business. So how has that work-life balance been as entrepreneurs for all these years? Balaji?
Okay, I think my answer might be different from Aarti's answer. so okay, I think Dr. Ivan Meisner puts it best. He says there's nothing called work-life balance. He says it's about harmony. It's about harmony. Okay, and yeah. So as entrepreneurs, I think you're always kind of working. Something even if you're not, even if you're watching a movie, there's something in the back of the mind kind of grappling with some issues that might have happened at work or what you plan to do. So I think, luckily for me, I think if you are happy as an individual, your family is happy as well. And that's the big thing about being an entrepreneur, because you are doing something that you really enjoy. You're working with something that makes you come alive. So I think that's a big part about work-life balance or harmony and so on, because a lot of time what hampers work-life balance is the stress that we might be getting at work, right? Because the alignment is not there between who you are and the kind of work that you're doing. And I'll tell you, that's the best part about being an entrepreneur. You get to create your own world. You get to choose your priorities, what kind of work you want to do, how you want to go about it. And I think as an entrepreneur, you don't have to make a trade-off at all. That I need to sacrifice something from the family life in order to gain something in my business and so on. I don't think there's a trade-off at all. You need to. It's an and thing. It's not an or thing. You need to have a happy family. You need to have a happy business. It's not a or problem. It's an and problem. So how do you make both happen?
Okay. So yesterday was today is World Happiness Day and tomorrow is World Harmony Day, Balaji. So I think it mixes up, right? Happiness and then you have harmony. It's a different fact that day before yesterday was World Sleep Day, but that's a different thing altogether. Ananth, your thoughts on this, because I've really looked up to you on that part of the work-life balance part.
Yeah, I think one thing I have heard from Balaji many times, that if you are passionate about doing something continuously, then you don't feel that as a work, right? I mean, that becomes a kind of a habit. Okay, so that way it is not a pressure. Like if you are really enjoying what you are doing, it is perfectly fine. But when it comes to the family, I'm sure, like for me, in fact, to be very frank, before marriage, I had promised Sumathi's father that I will never take her into the business. I will see to that she will be a very good homemaker kind of a thing. That's the promise I gave, because he took that promise from me. But within 1 year, so Sumathi got attracted to the business, and then she said, no, I'm getting into this, and then she came. And now she is much more busier than me. Okay.
So who's a better entrepreneur, Ananth?
Yeah.
I think Ananth, don't blame yourself. It is totally Sumathi. She is the driven one.
Yeah, she asked for it actually. So, and now later, what happened for us, since both of us in the same business, same office, right from the day one, we were going to office together, coming from the office together. So like all seminar, wherever we go, we are together only. Okay. And even all our holidays, okay, for the entire 25 years when I was doing the IT business, Of course, 90% of the holidays are paid by our principals, all the IT giants. So they are the guys who paid for our holidays. So we used to go to the holiday together and then enjoy there itself with this, attend a seminar, attend a conference, attend an exhibition, and then couple of days stay for a holiday and then come back. I think that's what we are doing now also. When we go for an international conference, so we take a break, go to the, conference, and a couple of other days spend on the holiday and then come back.
So are you saying that you're not separating it? It is all one single journey. So there is no work, life, personal part, nothing. So it's all one single journey. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. It's not like, okay, I'm switching off at 6 o'clock and going. There may not be anything. Sometimes when the call comes, I don't mind keep talking to the people and all. So at the same time, enjoying the family as well.
I have a little different thing because I do switch off. So of course, Ananth has seen me. So if it is more than 8 o'clock in the evening and there's a call happening, I switch off. I say, guys, that's it. I can't take it anymore. Sunday is also a no for me because I just need that time to kind of charge up my, systems or whatever, charge up my body and mind. So from that angle. Yeah.
So after 8 and Sundays, don't you discuss business at home, Balaji, or do you keep it?
I try as much as possible not to. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe Aarti is helping that side and Sumati is not helping.
Oh yeah, and she is also quite insistent. Aarti is also quite insistent that I switch off.
Wonderful. So
but of course, myself and Sumati, we have one kind of a law. When we enter home, like even though we go to office together and come back and all, so when we enter home, absolutely, literally, no discussions with respect to any of the official things. Okay, so she is a perfect whatever, the daughter-in-law, wife, and everything. Okay, so that's it.
Wonderful. Okay, so that's a tip for a lot of people, because that's a question that keeps coming back in terms of how do I manage my life, how do I manage my work. The moment I get into an entrepreneurship, I've been a 24/7 entrepreneur. So I think a lot of insights from that. Let me get into something else. I've heard this questions from many people who want, and Balaji, I'm sure, because you are somebody who trains entrepreneurs, you would have heard it many times more. Many people come up and say that, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't have an idea of what I'm going to do, but I still want to be an entrepreneur. I really do not know if my passion lies in that. So can you tell me something that I can do? Is that an approach that you see from a lot of entrepreneurs, Balaji?
Yeah, in fact, they go further and they say, which industry should I start or which business should I start? And I believe that's not the right question to ask. So I always say, hey, you know what? Any business can become big, right? Any business can become big. So it's not really about what business will become big. It's about what are you really passionate about? What is it? What are the skills, abilities, things that you have picked up? What are the opportunities in front of you? It's really about that. It's not really about, hey, you know what, this particular industry is booming, so let's get into that. That could be, it could be, but it's not the way to go about it. Going back to these phenomenal stories that I talked about, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all of these guys, they were not saying that I'll start a computer, industry 10 years later, right? 10 years before, they were actually just tinkering with what was in front of them. They were just building the skills without any, purely because they loved it. They just loved the what they were working on. So I think it's really that. So one needs to really look within rather than without. They need
and
to.
I think Balaji, you definitely are a pioneer from that perspective, because nobody would have thought about serviced offices 25 years back. And today, last 3 years, the kind of boom and explosion that we have seen in that industry, you saw it 25 years back. And what the other thing which I typically see, Balaji, is also the fact that I see a grocery store doing well. I rent out the next shop and I start another grocery store. And then all of a sudden there are 6 grocery stores in the one single lane. So that copycat thing is also kind of really seen. Ananth, do you see that a lot? Because I know you've just started into something which is completely pioneering, which is the electric two-wheeler segment, which is still not a big one. So do you see that as a challenge coming up, Ananth?
Yeah, see, like as Balaji was saying, see, first thing is you should look around, in the sense, if you think that there is one particular problem which is around you, if you are able to solve that problem, I think that is where you should begin your entrepreneur journey. Of course, you should have passion toward that particular thing as well. So same thing happened to us, right? Like when I said networking, at that time I knew that, okay, this is the a kind of an issue at that point of time. There was no people to network to computers. There's no people. People were even afraid to connect to computers. I know a time where I had to go and sit in the Union Bank with the what is that trade union, and then tell them that if these two computers are connected, nothing will happen. Your job will not be lost. And to that extent, we had to go and convince them. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, if you are able to solve a particular problem of the society or something which is around you, that can become your business. Okay, there is nothing, you need not have to do a lot of things. Okay, so always look at the problem and then go with a solution. Don't go with a product and say that, okay, I have this product, will you buy it? Okay, nobody wants to do that. So if you say that, okay, can I solve this? BNI, you take it. What is the one single most problem of a small and medium business? Okay, it is acquiring a new customer, right? So how much money a small and medium business can invest to acquire a brand new customer? Okay, you need to put a sales guy, you have to put a train him, you have to market it, you have to spend money. That one pain point is removed. Okay, that's it. That is why BNI is successful. So same thing with the senior services. So whatever you do, if you are able to solve one particular problem around you, I think you got it. Okay, that's what I feel.
So Manoj, let me just add a little bit on this,
Please.
what business to start, and this theme about opportunity meeting preparation. So I was thinking back in terms of why did YAP, select Anantharam and me to, explore BNI? Because after all, he had a network much bigger. So he had 100, 200 people in his network by that time. So why did he pick me and Ananth to pester us to start BNI? And if you look back, both of us had fairly large networks by that, independently of our own. Ananth was very active in the network association and things, computer, what was it, IT association and so on. I was running a magazine, so I knew a lot of people. In fact, the first 5 chapters essentially were our personal contacts. Ananth, mine, personal contacts were our first, 3-4 chapters, definitely. So, so that's a good example of how preparation meets opportunity. We never knew about BNI, but I think we were the most suited to start BNI in Bangalore because we had fairly large networks ourselves.
So that's the opportunity that you're talking about. So
Yeah.
any new, so is that an advice that you would like to give a person who wants to be an entrepreneur? Because post COVID, what I'm seeing is a lot of people actually rethinking about being career professionals all their life, or maybe starting something off. A lot of people who are sitting in this room and watching us have been ex-corporate guys who have started their own. So what is that one advice that you would want to give somebody who says, I want to be an entrepreneur?
I'd say go after go after something that you really care about, you're passionate about, because that's what will give you energy to sustain. You can't really predict by when the business becomes very viable and strong and so on and so forth. You can't predict that, but what you can predict is that you enjoy every moment of building the business. And the other thing is you're not quite sure how, in terms of how the business will take shape. In a sense, so be committed to your passion and what you care for, but be flexible about how it will turn out, or what form it will take. So you get my. So it's not like you create a grand vision and a plan and say, okay, I'm so wedded to it. This is the only thing I'll do. Okay. So,
Okay.
in fact, there's a lovely book again I'll recommend that if you're really interested in entrepreneurship, you should read up Saras Saraswati's Effectuation. So she's one of the foremost professors or researchers on entrepreneurship, and she has done a lot of work. And her conclusion is entrepreneurship is like that. It's a kind of a meandering path. You're not quite sure how it will turn out, but it'll turn out fine as long as you do certain things. In a sense, you can change the goalposts. You're perfectly fine. Okay. But you use what is available to you to the fullest extent. And what is that? You use your own talents, your own ambition, whatever, your personality, yourself. You use that, you use your connections, and you keep learning. Okay, you keep learning. And these things keep changing over time. And as things keep changing, the opportunities which come up also keep changing, and there might be bigger opportunities and bigger things that come your way.
Okay.
And
So that leads me to another one. Ananth, I want to ask you this question. So how important is to have a plan B? Because many times what we have seen is you are completely focused on that one single thing that you want to achieve, and there could be a very strong possibility that it will work out, it may not work out, and you have nowhere to go back. So I've seen a lot of being in the recruitment space. I see this on a daily basis. I just spoke to a gentleman today morning who spent 20 years at a very senior level in a company, started his company right before the pandemic hit, and now he doesn't know what to do. Does he continue with the entrepreneurship, go back to the corporate world? He has no clue. He's completely clueless, and he's saying, I took a sabbatical and I'm sitting at home for the last 9 months. I still have not figured out what I want to do. So how important is that plan B part there, Anant?
Yeah, I have seen this several times, as you also said. Like even a couple of my own friends who are having a hefty salary in the corporate world, and then they decided to get into the business, and then after some time they say that, okay, this is not my cup of tea, and then go back to the work. Okay, I have seen this many times happen. But if you ask me, prepare a plan B and then take one matchstick and burn it, actually. So don't have plan B. Okay, that's it. I mean, if you are really passionate about this, you need to pursue. That's it. Okay, of course you need a family support for that. I mean, they have to help you in whatever is the dream you are trying to achieve. But the moment you know that, okay, if I'm going to do this, if this doesn't work, I'm going back to my job. Or I have even seen some people, like, they won't resign the job. They will, get into the business for some time. By chance, if this does not pick up, then go back or start the business in wife name, daughter name, somebody else's name, and all those kind. I mean, all these things doesn't work. If you ask me, plan B is a bad idea.
Okay. So the whole idea is, if at all you have to go to a plan B, that should be your plan A. It cannot be your plan B.
Yeah.
Balaji, what do you say?
Yes.
As Balaji said, improvise. Yeah.
So I have a little tweak to that. Okay, so one is plan A, plan B in terms of entrepreneurship itself. Okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. That's it. I think which business is a different matter altogether. Okay, so I think, and this question was there for me as well. 2-3 years after I started Golden Square. In fact, one of my clients came and said, "Oh, IIT, IIM, what are you doing here? Come and join me, and I'm going to pay you this." And for next 3-4 days, I was kind of really confused because I was not. I mean, all my money was going to pay the bank loan, right? So I didn't have much money those days. So I was kind of very, very confused. But then I kind of told myself, hey, you know what? Why is it that you started business? I mean, there is a reason, right? And so it's not about a short-term thing. It's a long-term thing that you've taken a call. So it's either this or that. I mean, you just have to make up your mind that you're never going to go back to a job. Okay, so so to say, I burnt my bridges that time, or like the matches burning the plan B. So that is because when I started business, I said, okay, let me try it out. By chance, it doesn't work out. I always have a job that I can go to, right? And I think I really started focusing on making it work when I made that decision that I need to make this work. There's no going back. I need to make it a success as an entrepreneur.
So when you're entering that journey, please understand that it's a one-way traffic.
I mean, the sooner you make that decision, the better.
Okay.
But however, coming to this plan A, plan B, see, we have learned from COVID as well, right? I mean, businesses, you are not quite sure certain things are beyond your control. Businesses can close down and so on and so forth. So I think there is a need for a plan B as far as your income is concerned, right? It is a good idea to have multiple sources of income, multiple businesses and so on. So there's a trick over here because a lot of entrepreneurs that I spoke to, successful entrepreneurs, they said, I was totally focused on my business and making it big. Okay, so there's a trade-off. A lot of times I've been confused with this thing. Am I doing a disservice, for example, if I'm not focusing on Golden Square and focusing on BNI, is it disservice to Golden Square? And I've come to the realization it's not, because they are all complementing each other. One is you create businesses which complement each other. The second is, as a business owner, there is a stage when you need to be 100% into the business, but you need to work in such a way that your business can run even if you're not there 100%, right? Because it's unfair to the business, the customers, and your team if the business is dependent on you. I'll tell you why. Because you're not going to be 100% energetic and focused and so on all the time. We all grow older. We all have our ups and downs. And if the business is dependent on your mood swings and your age, then it is a disservice to your team members, to your customers, and people who depend on the business. So I think we need to plan bigger in terms of the business should run on its own as far as possible. And as a business owner, do what's required to be done in the beginning of the business so that the systems are in place, the processes are in place, the team is in place so they can run on its own. And then you can focus on your plan B.
So you brought that point in. I was about to ask that question. That was where I was coming to. How important is money in this whole thing? And not just about how much money you make, but also in terms of how much money you put. So how important is money in the whole game of being an entrepreneur?
Ananth, you'd like to go?
Yeah. See, definitely money is important. All of us, we know the very fact that why you are in business, okay, you want to earn money. So there's nothing wrong in as many times, this is, I think, Kumaravel, I think, if he used to keep telling good people should make money, okay? So the money should be made by the good people, the same. But now the question comes is who is going to fund me? In fact, Sumati can answer this very well. In fact, she's the person who was handling the entire finance in my company. And she's the person who used to go and sit with the bankers hours together, okay, hours together, or not hours together, days together probably, and sit with them without even getting tired, asking for the money, okay, in the sense, whatever it was required. The kind of the, in fact, at one point of time, we started acquiring the real estate after real estate to just go and pledge it to the bank. Okay, because the bank says you need a, what do you call, the collateral security, and then, okay, go ahead and then buy one property and then again take it to the bank and pledge. So we did that. Of course, that helped us later also. That's a different story. But what I am trying to say is definitely the money is important. But the only thing is you should know how to get it, okay? How to tap that money and then get it. A lot of things, like for example, as simple as CGTSME scheme, okay, which is available in the government, where it's up to 1 crore. It is available to the many of the manufacturing and services industry. How many of our business people are making use of this? They are not even aware. So many people, they don't know where it is available. And initially, when we started with the help of the friends and family and relatives. Okay, we used to give them a 2% kind of an interest per month kind of a thing, and then we helped a lot of senior people in the family. Okay, in the sense they gave us the money, and then whatever the money, interest they were getting from the bank, we gave much higher than that. The only thing is we ensured that till the last pie, you have to clear that money. Don't ever, that's very, very important, right? If you are not building credibility with the money, people will not trust you. So if you have borrowed, ensure that till the last pie, you have to clear it. Okay. So if you have that kind of a discipline, okay, I'm sure the things will follow. But definitely, I keep telling this to a lot of my employees. I started the business with zero money. Okay, literally zero. Okay, the bank, the office was there and everything. We talked to them, and luckily I got a Union Bank contract for the AMC of the computers, and then they gave us the advance. Okay, so with that advance money, we started the business. I was getting 2,500 rupees as a salary. Sumati was getting 900 rupees. So with that kind of a money, we couldn't have started a company, right? So, but the Union Bank gave us the AMC contract, and they gave us an advance also. So that's it will come. Don't bother about thinking that money you should think about that in the last. Okay. First answer all why, where, what, all those W questions, and then how should be your last one answered by all these W questions. Okay.
Wonderful. Thanks, Ananth. That's a completely nice perspective on how to start. Now, let me come to you, Balaji, on what to do with that business. How important is money in business? How important is making money in a business?
Okay, so making money. Okay, not on raising money, but making money. Okay.
Raising money, Ananth said it beautifully.
Ananth said, okay, fine. I think it is. I mean, it's in business, making money is is the same as, for living we need air and water. It's something like that. So without making money and without making it profitable, I think there's nothing called a business. So it's a given. Uh, However, money is a result of something. It's not the objective, because the objective really is about creating value. If you create value, somebody will be willing to pay for it, isn't it? So, so that is where I think we need to be focused on as entrepreneurs. How are we creating value, and what is that value? And I think going back to raising money, if the value is big enough, people will be ready to invest also, because they want to take part of that value. So our focus needs to be on that. How are we creating value? How are we serving people? How are we benefiting people, and so on? And a lot of times, especially in the beginning stages when the venture still has to kind of get established, that value is actually your satisfaction as well, because you may not have money to feel satisfied, right? So that satisfaction of actually doing something good is your is your benefit as well, your kick as well.
Okay. So I mean that's been one worry that most businessmen have in terms of the money. Okay, and I'm very sure you all have gone through that journey yourself at some point of time. So what has been that one big fear, Balaji and Ananth, that you've ever had at any point of time in these many years, 20, 30 years that you've been in business? What is that one big fear?
Oh, for me, early in my career, there was a nightmare actually, right? So I had gone to State Bank. So Business Center, my first branch, I actually raised a loan from State Bank of India, and and I borrowed some money from my uncles, and I actually bought the property in Vithalmalya Road, right? The first, and there were some more payments to be made. And based on the assurance from State Bank that they would be giving me the loan, right? Based on the collateral, that property itself was the collateral. And based on that, I paid the advance to the builder, and I went on a holiday, came back, and by that time the RBI had changed its policy. The State Bank said that, sorry, RBI has said that we can't disperse any real estate loans, and that's the end of the matter. I was stuck. What do I do? I've already paid the builder. I can't get it back, and what do I do with all this commitment that I made? So my first lesson in networking happened that time. So what I did was I called up people whom I knew. This is the problem. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Finally, my father-in-law's friend, who was a very seasoned businessman, he gave me an advice. He said, the State Bank is a very straight and forward bank, very ethical. So you need to figure out who's the decision maker there and how to approach the decision maker. Okay. I don't know the person myself, but that is the tip I can give you, that you need to reach the decision maker and get him to hear you out, because your case is a genuine case. So then I started talking to various relatives of mine. Do you know anybody who knows somebody in SBI? Okay. So finally, one of my relatives connected me to a friend of his who was a retired SBI person. And I went to that gentleman, and this is the beauty that happened. I went to the gentleman heard me out, and he said, Balaji, you've got a very genuine case. Leave it to me. I'll see what I can do. And a few days later, I got an appointment with the decision maker in the bank. And I went there. I presented my case. He said, okay, fine. You know what? In SBI, this is how things work. You need to push the papers from the bottom, right? From the branch. Mm-hmm. But when the papers come to my desk, I'll give it a fair treatment. Okay. So I did my legwork from the bottom. But later, after everything got sanctioned and so on, I heard the real story, what had happened. This gentleman from retired SBI person went with his wife to meet this decision maker, right? And I had never met this auntie. I've never met this auntie. But that auntie told this person, I know Balaji from so many years. This bank has been so unjust to an entrepreneur, budding guy, young guy. It is so unfair, and she kind of literally blasted that person, right? So it's such a lovely, I got to know about this much later, but this is what networking can do for you guys. This was the first valuable lesson. Two lessons that we should, whenever we start, seek out advice. Seasoned people will tell you what to do, and then you need to tap into your network. And there was another lesson I learned around that time. Somebody has told me, he said, you build your network not when you need the network. You build your network when you don't need the network, because it takes time to mature, right? So I think, yeah.
So the other thing which comes up there, Balaji and Ananth, is that we all talk about every example that we take, every time we talk about, we only talk about people who have been highly successful. So be the Bill Gates or the Steve Jobs of the world, but all of them have those stories of failures also, which have never talked about. So how important is failure in this journey? Is that something that we need to um, understand and keep a space for Ananth? Is it going to be part and parcel of this whole journey?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I don't know, in one of the interview I gave, my entire interview was about failure only. Okay. In fact, the editor asked me some 2-3 times permission. Is it okay? Can I publish this? I said, it is fine. Go ahead. There is nothing wrong in saying that I failed here, I failed there, and things like that. Absolutely no problem. In fact, one thing always I used to keep telling even my staff and so many people, saying that, see, the guy, when I started the business, as I told you, with zero money, okay, what is that I can go? I can go back to the same thing. That's the worst thing which can happen, right? That is zero, back to the square one. So nothing worse can happen below that. So why should I really be worried that if it fails? And every failure, if at all it is a failure, I don't want to call it as a failure. It's a lesson, that's all. Okay. Only thing is, for that lesson, you pay some fees, okay, either in the form of a money or in the form of a time or in the time of whatever is the manner, okay. But it's a lesson. So for any lesson, you need to pay for it. It's a Guru Dakshina, okay. So that's it. So why you have to be really worried? The entire wealth or money, whatever I have earned today, is all from the scratch, from zero, right? So if it goes away, it is fine. I mean, you can always start fresh. There is nothing, I mean, don't be afraid of a failure, okay? In fact, in between, when you ask that question, like the plan B and things like that, that is where the people are preparing for the failure, okay? They are saying that, okay, if I fail, okay, let me go there. So why are you preparing for the failure, okay? So think that, yes, I'm going to be successful here. Whatever I have learned here, I need not have to learn once again the same thing. The only thing what I advise everybody is, don't repeat the mistakes. Okay, that's all. So because you have already done it, why do you want to repeat it once again? Okay.
Wonderful.
So don't repeat the mistake.
I totally resonate to that. That's something that we keep talking about in the office. It's perfectly fine to do a mistake. The only problem is you repeating it. That's where it has to be there. Balaji, your thoughts on that in terms
of... So while Ananth was sharing, I was counting the number of businesses I had to close down, right? So in my 25 years journey, of course, my oldest business is still going strong. 6 businesses, which I had to close down because they didn't work out. But of course, when you close a business, especially one particular business that I closed, it was heartbreaking for me. This was the Business Gyan magazine that I closed in 2009. It was a magazine, the whole industry, there are not many magazines which are making money nowadays. I saw the writing on the wall, but it was something that I was very attached to, right? Very attached to. So I think I took a long time to come out of that closure of the magazine. But later I kind of realized that the magazine was actually the stepping stone for BNI for me. Because if the magazine wasn't there, YAP wouldn't have met me, right? And if I had not developed that network because of the magazine, I wouldn't have started BNI. So there's another saying which goes, businesses might fail, but entrepreneurs don't, right? So I think, like Ananth says, it's a stepping stone. Each of these things, we need to be prepared for it. But we need to be strong with our ethics and values, because I remember when I closed down Business Gyan, one of the struggles I had was I needed to return the advances paid by advertisers and the subscribers. And that was a hard time because I didn't have the resources to pay back all that money. But I did. Every subscriber, even if it was 80 rupees outstanding, in a sense, that much, I made sure that I paid it. Because that's how you kind of build your reputation.
Wonderful. So let me come to the last question here. We just are on time at this point of time, and this is a question because I know it's going to be tough for you to answer because both of you are very very humble, down to earth kind of businessmen that I've met personally. And the first time I came to BNI and I heard that there are two EDs there, I thought, okay, it's going to be very tough to even reach to them. And then I suddenly realized that okay, it's just a phone call away for every member here. So thanks for being that. Mentors, and thanks for being so approachable. So this question is more to do with your personal side of it. What do you attribute your success to, Ananth? What do you attribute your success
Uh, yeah, that's again, success itself is a question mark, right? Because see, what do you say as a success? I mean, definitely success is not a destination. Okay, it is a journey. So for me, the success is like, I mean, every time you are learning something, you are moving forward in as a person, as a business, or whatever it is you call it as. So that itself is a success. It's not about, okay, every day am I becoming a better person than yesterday? Okay, am I becoming more organized than yesterday? So am I being more helpful to the others than yesterday? I think I relate success only to that much. So I definitely do not know if I do Bangalore, we do 5,000 members, are we successful? Or we make in Manasum 2,000 units, are we successful? I don't know about that. The only thing is, am I enjoying the journey fully? And then I'm doing justice to whatever I'm doing. Okay, that's what it is. Like when I'm talking to a other person, is it really genuine? Okay, so I think only that much is my definition.
to? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Balaji?
So I'm finding it difficult to figure out what can I attribute it to, but I can certainly tell you what I'm grateful to. And I think I'm really grateful to my family for allowing me to do all kinds of crazy things. For instance, when I quit my job and started my business, I had just got married around 4-5 months back, and to be able to do that, and Aarti was all. I mean, she didn't even kind of say, "Hey, how come you're doing this?" When we had to start our journey, where are you going to earn your money? How are you going to take care of me? None of that. And in this 25 years, I've done all kinds of ventures and so on and so forth. But she doesn't have any critical statement to say, "Hey, you should not be doing this, etc., etc." And I think it's just that blind support and in terms of faith, that kind of gives you a lot of power. Seriously, it gives you a lot of power, and I'm really grateful for that kind of support I get from my family.
Wonderful. So it's been a team effort. That's what we always look up to. The four of you trying to do things that are making a lot of difference for everybody. I'm very sure Sumati and Arati are watching it. I saw some message from Sumati on Facebook also on the discussion. So thank you so much for that. I've come to the end of my questions. There, it was an absolutely fabulous 1 hour that I spent with you, and I'm so thankful to both of you for enlightening all of us. It was not just about me, but a lot of us who have been here, almost 30 plus people watching this, and so many of them watching in Facebook, and so many who will watch it in the next few days on Facebook and LinkedIn. I think it's a lot of value addition. I think it's more than spending 1 day in a college learning stuff. This has come from people with a cumulative experience of what, 60 years between you in terms of what you've put together and creating it. And thank you, I can't thank you enough for creating this wonderful platform called BNI for all of us. So thank you so much, Ananth, and thank you so much, Balaji, first for accepting this, second being so honest and open in terms of your discussion. You have not held anything back, you told us as it is, and third for being so approachable for any member to reach out to you and taking their opinion. So thank you so much. Any final words from you, Ananth and Balaji?
So yeah, thank you very much, Manoj. You are doing a fantastic job. In fact, especially if, for a lot of people, like even when we started our journey, many times probably we were quite alone, right? There was no much technology in those days. We were not knowing so many things. Today, there are so much resources available. Lot of technology. You ask any question or any doubt, so there is some remedy anywhere in the world, and it is all click away. And these kind of seminars, what you are creating, and I mean, you have been doing so many talk shows like this. helping so many people to take a decision. In fact, the most important thing to get into the entrepreneur journey is that one decision to get into this, right? Especially when you're in a college or a student, or whether to go and work for somebody or to jump into the business. Okay. My sincere request to everybody is, if you have an opportunity, if there are young kids and children or whoever is watching, always think of getting into the business or an entrepreneur journey rather than trying to work for somebody. Okay, that is where you can create more jobs. You can help so many more families. And that's one piece of my advice is, before applying for a job, just think of this to do something on your own.
Yeah, in fact, I'll kind of echo what Anantharam said. I was just thinking, I mean, totally, I won't give up this thing about being an entrepreneur. I won't trade it off with anything else. Guys, if you are thinking of becoming an entrepreneur, just do it. When we started 25 years, 30 years back, there was nothing called venture capital, right? There were only 3 VC firms. Now, since I'm part of VCATS, I kind of know VCAT itself has 1,000+ angels, ready to fund startups. I mean, now you can actually start thinking big. So maybe coming back to the topic, now you can actually start thinking big because there is so much of risk capital available. There are 30 unicorns in India itself, right? There was nothing called a unicorn 25 years back. So, I mean, this is the time to be an entrepreneur. Don't hesitate at all. You'll figure out the way to do it. Thank you, Manoj, again for. Me and Ananth haven't spoken about entrepreneurship, this particular topic together before. So thank you for helping us do this. And we had a lovely time.
Thank you so much, Balaji. Ananth. I think I'm getting some personal messages on some questions which some of them have after this. So are you open to answering a couple of questions?
Certainly.
Yes. Prem, you wanted to ask something. Prem, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, both of you, Anantharam and Balaji. My question to you is, I tried encapsulating all those feedbacks and queries and the wisdom which you shared all this while. What I was trying to do is maybe in the corporate days, where I think when I got into the startup about a year back, during my corporate days of 18 years, what I heard is people saying the famous say of fail fast, right? That's one thing we all heard about. But when it comes to startup, I think you are kind of decided what you want to do and you get into it and you start doing it. So there are swings, right? There are good times, there are bad times, etc. So during the bad times when it comes, right, when it really swings downwards. We also know the common say, as I heard from you, the experience is something which you get, yeah, you should not repeat it again. They also spoke about the being patient, perseverance, you got to be resilient enough, etc. What are the other 2-3 things which I have not heard in the books or in my corporate days, which you want to share, so that we can be a bit more capable in taking this engagement forward? I hope it's clear. The questions.
What are the other things beyond perseverance and stuff that you would
the
give as an
experience,
advice?
the perseverance, patience, and resilience. So what are the other few things which I would like to hear from you?
See,
Go ahead, Ananth. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I feel is, one is being quite honest, especially with your teammates. Okay, like for example, if there are employees working with you, you need to be very honest about your condition with them. Like suppose, let's say if you are going through some financial challenges, so share it with them. I mean, there is nothing to hide much and thinking that, oh, okay, what will they think about that and all those things. I'm not trying to asking them to take part in my whatever is the expenses or problems or anything like that. The problem is mine. Absolutely no issues about that. But sharing with them, and then probably, who knows, they may come up with one of the much more brilliant idea to come out of the situation. Okay. So that's it. So again, perseverance, many times I have told this kind of a joke, that the entrepreneur journey is like riding on a tiger, right? You're sitting on a tiger and then going and with so majestic and all. So the other person who is thinking that he is seeing at you and he says, wow, what a courageous guy he is, what brave guy he is, and that's what he's thinking. But you know very well, if you get on from that, that tiger will eat you. Okay. So that is why you are sitting there. Okay. So maintain that, or to maintain that, buy one more tiger. Okay. That's it. So, anyway.
I think beautiful top. I mean, I think sharing leads to the trust. That's what I've always personally believe in, because if you're running an organization, you need to be as transparent as you can to your fellow members also, and that's the only way to gain trust. Anything from you, Balaji, on that?
Yeah, in fact, since Premjit said he has just started and he was in the corporate world earlier, so I had another take on this. And especially if you have been in a large corporate, right? So it's if you remember your physics lessons, there are two types of physics. One is quantum mechanics, when things are very small, what happens that time? And one is Newtonian physics, what happens when you're very large. The physics laws are different in these two worlds. Okay, the same kind of thing happens when you're in a very large company versus when you start a small, start off. And I think you need to be, especially if you spend a lot of time in a large corporate, you need to unlearn a lot of things. Okay, starting with something as simple as recruiting people. So if you are working in a large company like Infosys and so on, you'll have a job description, right? And there'll be 100 people applying for that job, right? As a startup, you don't have the luxury of 100 people queuing up for that job. You'll have to do with whoever stands in front of you. I'm willing to work with you. Now you have to figure out what work to give to that person. It's a different world. Okay, so we prepared for it. And another example of this quantum physics versus Newtonian physics. Okay, so when you're in the corporate world, you're kind of used to, at the drop of the hat, go and fly across the country, stay in a 5-star hotel, and all of that kind of a thing, right? When you're an entrepreneur, cash is king. Okay, so learn to preserve cash. You don't have to travel all the way and burn all the cash. So you'll have to unlearn a lot of things. Make sure that you focus on what's really important. Happy to share more with you such tips in terms of this aspect. And one other very important thing is the thing about where you get that pride from. I faced it when I quit Unilever Group, started working. When you're in the Unilever Group, people will say, okay, where do you work? What do you do? I say, I'm in Unilever, and they'll kind of look at you with awe and, oh, wow, this, that, and all, right? And when you say, okay, if I'm just starting my business, oh, why, how come, why, all of that doubt comes in, right? So we have to remember that earlier when people were giving respect to you, they were actually giving respect to the company you were working for, not to you, right? So we need to remember that, because a lot of times, especially in the early days when you're quitting a big job and working, your pride will get hurt, and you need to be prepared for that.
Thank you, Balaji, for that. So thank you so much. Any last question, anyone? Otherwise, we'll wind up here. Okay. So thank you so much, Balaji. Thank you so much, Ananth. Thank you for participating and being such great guest, and so much of wisdom being shared today. So wholeheartedly from the School of Public Speaking, FlexAir Partners, and the whole team in BNI, thank you so much, Ananth and Balaji, once more.
Thank you, Manoj.
Thank you so much.